All right, everybody, welcome to episode 167. It's a 2014 summer episode. We're going to preview the preseason. We're going to talk about the World Cup group stages and some other news that's going on. Eric here in Overland Park, Kansas. Ped in Old Swan, Liverpool. And joining us special again, Paddy Howland. How's it going, guys?
Fine, thanks, Eric. Everything's going
Eric,
great.
who's the podcast brought to you by?
Paddy, can you
No,
share with
no.
us that?
We have corporate overlords, and you've got to mention their name.
As soon as I get a
Important.
script from these corporate overlords, I will mention their names. So in the meantime, since we have Paddy and he's an employee of theirs, I will yield it over to him.
What's going on?
Doesn't matter, Pat. He just wants you to mention the sponsor, Pat. That's all he wants you to do. That's all he wants you to do.
And look pretty.
What?
What's going on?
Have you got YouTube on, Pat, by any chance?
Oh.
You've got YouTube on, haven't you?
No.
Okay. Okay.
Are you participating and watching at the same time?
Are you watching the show on YouTube, or are you watching the screen of us talking? I don't know what's going on. I think he might have lost his connection, to be honest. There, Eric.
Yes.
They say never work with animals, children, and howlands, and this is why.
Hey.
The picture of him is quite good though at the moment on the screen.
It is good. I'll put it up there for everyone to see. Yeah, it's. I mean, it's like almost professional broadcast. He kind of looks like Roger Bennett there, like he's about to do something really important.
His video's gone off, I think. I don't know.
Oh man, unfortunate. So you want to fill in for your brother-in-law?
I can't really do that. I don't think I'm qualified to do such a good thing.
Oh, okay. Well then, I guess we'll just move on. This has been fantastic. Thank you for joining us on the Follow-tonians. We'll see you later.
Let's see if we can get him back on.
It took us 2 hours to get him on in the first place. I don't think it's good. I don't. There's World Cup matches we want to watch.
Okay. I think he's lost his internet, or he's been destroyed by the corporate overlords.
I think so. Oh, something popped back up. Nope. Hey.
Is he here?
Nope. Hey.
I don't know. Yeah. I don't know what happened there.
All
I think
right,
the internet went out, Pat. I think the internet went out. So Paddy,
Pat, who you work for?
just tell us who you work for, and these.
Who does number 2 work for, Pat?
Are you still recording this? Yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
Yes, we're
Jesus.
still recording this.
It's Apps Services Limited. It's probably the biggest, longest intro ever for the sponsor, and sincere apologies.
There you go. You've done it. Right, get on with the show, Eric.
All right. So what do we want to talk about first? World Cup?
Eric, just do it. Just do it for the sake of everything that's.
All right. So if anybody's can watch this and see, I'm wearing my Bomb Pop U.S. national team shirt.
Okay.
Because and I told Ped to wear the kit of his national team that's still in the tournament, but since his national team's not in the tournament anymore, he decided to not wear anything. So basically, the U.S. is better than England.
We don't care about any of this stuff, Eric. Please, please talk about things we actually care about.
Okay, well then you go on and talk about something you care about, because I care about the U.S. Tim Howard has been playing really, really great. Made a lot of great saves in the Ghana match that U.S. won, and got 3 points out of that. Quite a few good saves against the Portugal side that they drew, and basically that's about all they needed was that win in the draw. Lost against Germany. Howard and the Yanks are moving on, and happy days for our American Evertonians. Not quite the same story for the English.
We don't really care. about English
Well,
people.
Barkley looked pretty good in the last match. Looked
Well,
okay.
going back to America, are you
Oh,
are you
now you want to talk about that?
well, someone has to anchor this show as you're doing such a terrible job of it. Are you
You're
are
the
you shocked?
professional, Ted.
Are you shocked by how well America have done?
I, I'm not shocked. I know that they've got the sum of their parts. The players on the squad are not world beaters individually, but it's always been the case that whenever they put on the kit for the United States, they're better than what they add up to be individually. They've always been able to fight out, get results, and do what it takes to get out of the group stages most of the times since '90. Uh, Getting a result against Ghana was huge. That was the match that it's we've said it before. If we're really a good side, these are the teams you have to beat. And if the United States was ever going to get out of Group G, then 3 points against Ghana was required. Last minute goal, saw that happen, and they got the 3 points that they needed. And then at that point, all you needed was a draw against Portugal, and you're sitting really good, especially whenever Portugal gets just pounded by Germany in their first match. Goal difference was always in the United States' favor. It was going to take a miracle in the last match for Portugal to overcome that. So after the first result, I was feeling really good. After the last minute goal conceded against Portugal, I wasn't feeling as good. But man, it would have been nice to have gotten 2 victories in those first 2 matches. But again, it comes down to just doing what you need to do to advance. You got to get out of the groups in order to be able to do anything in the tournament. If you don't get out of your groups, you're going home.
Pads, before we talk about, well, we'll try and avoid how dismal England were. When you watch the Americans play and the Australians as well, and when you see how they gel together and how important it is for them to wear the shirt and the pride they take in it, and then when they go out there and actually play and there's a togetherness and actually seems to be some kind of game plan, does it just make you wonder what we're doing wrong in this country, that we have all these so-called talented players with some of them have big egos. They do it week in, week out. Some of them do it week in, week out. Some of them do it in the Champions League, and yet when they put the England shirt on and asked to go and do a simple job, they just can't do it.
Yeah, it's been a long-term problem for us, hasn't it? You know, you sort of go back beyond Italia '90, and the England players seem to just dread putting that white shirt on and performing for England. When you look at the USA, you look at Australia, look at some of the South American teams as well, the likes of Chile, Colombia. On paper, haven't necessarily got the same talent as England have got, sort of individually, but as a team, somehow come together and perform. I think USA, the one thing that's really stood out this time around has been, I think, the coach. They've got a really sort of renowned international coach who knows how to win games as well. I think that's made a massive difference to the USA this year. And you've also got players that have been around various tournaments as well. So the likes of Clint Dempsey, for example, I think have absolutely stood out at this World Cup and actually pulling the team forward. And our own Tim Howard, I think, looked impressive in goal as well. But yeah, it raises loads of questions. You just wonder why we get it so wrong in England, sort of tournament after tournament.
They've got nous, haven't they? The Klinsmann's got nous, and it's mad the way that's so missing in this country, where you've got a manager who's been at tournaments before and got players who've been at tournaments before. And really what they should have done is gone in and said, right, let's try and get a draw out the first 2 games and then go into the Costa Rica game and get 3 points, and that should see us through the group. And yet they went and tried to win the Italy game in the first 20 minutes. I'm not sure what completely happened in the Uruguay game, and then obviously the last game was just a non-event. So it's just strange, isn't it? And Eric, I mean, you must look at us thinking, well, almost like laughing, because English people talk down to Americans so much about football, yet when it comes to the international stage, we're just so bad at it.
Yeah, it's really interesting going back to South Africa, and we were in the same group, and going into the group stages of that, the English were very arrogant in thinking that they're going to cakewalk through that group, and it ends up that the U.S. win the group on goal difference, um, and that gets kind of brushed under the rug, and the English forget about that. The English media is like, oh well, we advanced. We didn't really try very hard. We didn't need to because the group was easy anyways. Whatever. But then this year, again, the kind of the situation is where, yeah, England should be favored to go through. It's a hard group, but we've got the talent, and we should be able to uh, get through the group stage without much difficulty. And it's almost as if you go into the matches thinking that you've already won and you don't need to do anything, and then you get punched in the face, and you don't realize that you actually are in a fight, that you actually have to work hard, and you have to do everything you can for the entire 90 minutes to just get a result. And that's not it's not 1990 anymore. It's not European domination first, and then a lucky fluke happens for a CONCACAF side to get through, or an African side like Algeria to get through. Um, the global stage of football is getting smaller and smaller, to where everybody knows everything about every other side. You're not walking into a match and you're shocked by the quality of an opponent anymore, because you've seen everything that everybody's done through friendlies. Everything's televised, everything's recorded. There's so much information out there that you're not going to get shocked by stuff unless you don't care to pay attention to it.
You say that, Eric, but the top goal scorer in the World Cup at the moment is this unknown man from Colombia that cost Monaco £35 million last summer. So you can say that, but even people who do this for a living are idiots most of the time and need other people to help them out. So
Sure, and that's what I'm saying. But the information's out there. I mean, you
yeah,
could go out and watch every single one of Monaco's matches from the past year and see everything that James Rodriguez, his tendencies, and you could. I mean, even in the U.S.'s match against Portugal, everybody knows Cristiano Ronaldo is an amazing crosser of the ball. Why someone's not in his back pocket the last 5 minutes of that match, just denying him access to do anything, and it's just tiredness, and it's just, things happen, but the information's out there, and it comes down to who does what with what is available. And I think England has failed in scouting, truly scouting the Costa Ricans and the Uruguayans.
Well, I tend to agree with you in a way, but I mean, I mean, we know we live here, we know how it all works. Really, it doesn't really come down to knowing who the opponent is for England, is it? It's more the fact that we have got this ego, which I don't know where it come from, because we've won one tournament, but yeah, and
that you hosted a long time ago,
and I've done nothing else really apart from
Yeah.
1990 since, and yet we have this. Even though we've been getting told, Pad, this tournament is not really important, and we know that nothing's really going to happen, but we still went into it almost like, I don't know. You've got to have a game plan, haven't you? You've got to have a game plan to get out the group. You've got to have a strategy. We almost just go, right, we might be very good, but we're going to have a go, rather than saying, you know what, we're not very good. So what we're going to do is we're going to respect the opponent and play in a certain way that is not going to allow them to beat us, and then we'll go on from there. I mean, look at teams like Greece, who are awful footballing teams, but get out the group because they say, you know what, you're not going to score, and we're going to try and get that one goal that is going to win the game, and we'll get out the group.
Yeah, I think there's loads of problems the way we approach these tournaments. I think there's a bit of a false sense of security. I think in previous years that because we do so well in European continental club football, that we're going to transcend that into the international game. But we're not even winning European Cups or Europa Leagues anymore over the last sort of 3-4 years, but we're sort of struggling and falling behind the better teams in Germany, Spain, for example, over the past couple of years. I think this time around expectations were lowered, but I think the fact that Hodgson went with a younger squad, I think the sort of media sort of played down expectations, but then when they actually saw some of the names and some of the players that were in there, they suddenly started building their expectations up again just before the tournament, which were, I think, at unrealistic levels. I think the problem we have is that we try and play this more expansive game in the England national team, and we just haven't got the players to do it. If you look at Holland, for example, no, they're not good enough. But if you look at Holland, for example, Louis van Gaal recognised, I think, about a month before the World Cup, he wasn't going to be able to go into that tournament playing the Dutch's normal sort of 4-3-3 total football style. He just hasn't got the players to do it. So he's gone with a far more direct style of football that gets the best out of the players like Robben and Van Persie, and more of a counter-attacking style of football, which, believe it or not, is not going down well in Holland. The fans don't like it, despite the fact that they've destroyed Spain and so far looking like they're going to do well and go far in the tournament. But in this country, we try and play an expansive game, which we just haven't got the players to do it, whereas USA, Greece, for example, other countries play to the strengths, and there seems to be a bit of snobbery in England actually to play to a style of play that suits our strengths.
Yeah, there's been some talk in the U.S. about how when Jurgen Klinsmann came in, he was going to make it to where the U.S. can impose their style and their will on their opponents, regardless who their opponent is. But in this World Cup, that's not been the case. It's been not bunker ball, but we haven't been trying to hold the possession nearly as much as everybody thought Klinsmann sides were going to do. We've given possession, but we haven't necessarily given up position, and that's the difference. Is we haven't had the ball, but we've been forcing the other sides to have the ball in their half. Not necessarily in anywhere that's dangerous, and try and counter, try and play to strengths. We're not fitting square pegs into round holes. We're not putting out the 11 best players, regardless of where their positions are on the pitch. For England, Rooney playing in front of Baines was absolutely ridiculous. I did not understand that at all. That did not make any sense to me against Italy. And Italy they were licking their chops, just going, wow, we get to run past Wayne Rooney to get to Baines.
It's culture, though, isn't it? That's the culture in this country. You just said there. I mean, Paddy, going back to what Paddy's saying, what you just said there. There's this new style of football which is sort of come out of the tiki-taka era, and it's almost anti-tiki-taka. It's the way to stop tiki-taka. It's what helped Real Madrid win the European Cup last year. It's not long ball, it's not direct football as such, it's just high pressing, and then you play on the break. Now, I've watched the United States do that, but England don't. England should be using that kind of way of playing, because it's neither negative nor ultra positive. It's a way in the middle, and it almost gets the best out of average players, because what you're telling average players to do is that if they're fit and they work hard, they win back the possession, and then they give the ball to maybe the better players, to the faster players, which England's saying they've got plenty of. And then that's where you go. That's where I think Josie Altidore would have been so important for America, because even though, you know, he's laughed at in this country for being a poor striker, he would have suited that style perfectly. And England wouldn't compromise to do that. And the irony is, that's sort of the fashionable way to play now. That's, as I say, that's come out of the tiki-taka buying how to beat.
It's how Chile got their equalizer. Yeah, it's how Chile got their equalizer against Brazil in the second round. And it almost worked for them on a couple of occasions to where they could have gotten a second against Brazil. They almost did right at the death of extra time, of added time. But it's pressure. It's high pressure. Get the ball back in an advantage area on the pitch and make the best out of your chances.
Right. I just want to. We've mentioned Tim Howard. I think he's been brilliant so far. He said, I don't know. Once again, we found him sitting on his backside again for the Portugal goal. Not quite sure why.
But I mean that
He-
was a horrible giveaway by Stokes.
oh
Jeff
yeah, yeah,
Cameron.
I wouldn't blame him.
And
And then he makes a wonder save from a poor save, so which we've seen him do a couple of times this season for Everton as well. But if we move on to Baines and Jagielka, who've come under a lot of criticism, from English press, simply because they play in the positions that John Terry and Ashley Cole play in, and suddenly in this country we want to go backwards and we want to implement players that.
If you don't play for a London club, then you're crap. Basically,
Well, it doesn't. There's a lot of things behind it. The press it's an easy thing. A lot of the press forget that those two players played in Bloemfontein, I think it was, when England got beat 4-1 by Germany and suffered similar horrific mistakes, which is 4 years ago. But Pad, I would say that both them players, I think that both of them would look in the mirror and say, we have not played in this tournament like we do for Everton, especially Leighton Baines, who I think has just. I don't know. We can criticise the fact that there's no one playing in front of him. We can criticise the fact that there's no one in centre midfield that would fill in like Gareth Barry does. But from the same point of view, you look at him as a player, and I don't see that attitude in him that he has at Everton, where he will scream and shout at players to fill in for him, to do those jobs for him. I see him going for England and suddenly becoming a 22-year-old boy, and all the talk in the last tournament about him being homesick, you see that almost on his face, that he's like, I'm happy to be here, but I'm not really gonna do what I do normally.
Yeah, we've talked about this before on a number of occasions with Leighton Baines. He is very much a confidence player, isn't he? So it takes time to settle into somewhere and actually have the confidence, I think, to take control. Like i.e. at Everton, he wouldn't take free kicks or corners, for example. He always let Arteta to do that. And it was only over time he actually sort of got a voice and actually grabbed hold of the ball and took control of that situation. And we've seen that again, I think, over the summer in the World Cup as well. As soon as Gerrard walked over for anything, Baines would concede sort of on free kicks and corners. But I think generally overall with his performances, he has looked a shadow of the player that plays at Everton. I suppose trying to look at this from a more critical eye point of view rather than as an Evertonian, I think at an international level, I think you do expect a little bit more than having a player who relies on having a good relationship with the left side of midfielder in front of him or a covering defender. I think you do expect a little bit more at international level. And when you're replacing someone like Ashley Cole, who, to be fair, as over the last 10 years, being probably one of the best left backs in the world, he was always going to come under more scrutiny during this tournament, I think, replacing him directly. And I think a lot of people would expect a similar type of performance and display. And Ashley Cole never had to rely on someone in front of him to get him through matches. So I do think Baines has struggled a little bit during the tournament. As for Jagielka, I think I said on the last podcast, I was worried about Jagielka going into this tournament, mainly because he wasn't going into the tournament fully fit. I actually think he played okay during the tournament. I think some of the criticism he's had has been really, really harsh. You read the papers in this country and basically they wrote him off. He shouldn't play for England again. But Gary Cahill was as equally as poor and culpable for some of the goals as Jagielka was. Okay, so Cahill, I thought was a fault for Italy's second goal in the first game, and for the Uruguay
and Suarez
goal.
the second.
Yeah, exactly. I was to say that Gerrard slipped off. I think Cahill switched off, not Jagielka. So, but Jagielka just took the brunt of it because A, he's not John Terry, and B, he doesn't play for the London side like Gary Cahill does.
You're right. The Italy match, Jagielka cleared it off the line. I thought he played respectably. But going back to Baines just quickly, there's quite a few times in the Italy match, specifically that he got forward. Sterling would have the ball in front of him, and he's yelling for it out wide to do what he typically does, and then Sterling just dribbles it and loses possession, and then all of a sudden Baines is caught out. There's no way he's running back 80 yards to get back into position after he just makes a run forward and gets left out to dry. That happened multiple times.
And the worst thing is that the goal England scored against Uruguay was on the right-hand side, and it was a typical kind of run that he would make on the left-hand side. Yeah, you've seen that little sort of quartet of Liverpool players playing together, got the ball to Glenn Johnson, and then he ran on. But there was no one on the same wavelength on the left-hand side that could do that for Baines. So maybe that was something that was missing as well. But, I don't think he stamped his mark on the games. But in both games towards the end, he did start pushing forward when England needed to go for a goal. So you could almost say as well that there was a lack of ambition when the games were at 0-0 to push Baines on. And again, I think that does go back to the way they play, the fact that they had no one in front of them, or really England should have gone in with a tucked in 3-man midfield, and that would have allowed both fullbacks to push forward and also protected the back four. And going back to what you said about Jagielka, I think he was culpable for the first Suarez goal simply because he didn't follow his movement. But for the second goal, that's his ball to win. Gerrard heads it, and then you would always, as a centre back, the back man should always be sweeping across. And the other thing that people seem to forget is Jagielka isn't a left-sided centre back, which makes a massive difference. And the reason Cahill isn't getting any criticism is because people just keep on saying, well, normally he's partnered by John Terry, so if he was partnered by John Terry for England, then he'd be all right. Well, surely that's not an excuse. But the irony of all this is that this has all probably left the door open now for John Stones to walk into the England team and probably become an England regular, because with the last time we spoke towards the end of the season, we weren't sure what was going to happen with him, and he came very, very close to getting into the England squad. And when you look at it now and see who played for England, you just think you might as well have just took him and give them the experience, because he really now. And even the press want him to be the England centre back, which is incredible.
Right, but even in the preseason matches in Miami, where they brought him along and played him, which I thought was very interesting, that you would bring someone that's not in the 23 to pre-World Cup warm-up matches and give him significant time. I thought that was very strange. Why would you not play Cahill and Jagielka together and get your back four set, get them as much time together as possible? Why would you bring someone in and get him experience? Yeah, great, you're getting him experience, but he has no possibility of helping you out in this upcoming tournament, which is the whole reason for you to be playing these matches.
I'd go a step further. Actually, why wouldn't you play sort of Smalling and Jones in one of them practice matches in case you had an injury to Cahill and Jagielka? Right. I personally think Hodgson obviously liked what he saw. He just didn't have the courage of his convictions to change his squad at the last minute.
If you're going to bring a player to World Cup tune-up matches, then he needs to be a possibility to be picked in the World Cup.
He made the mistake of naming a 23-man squad and having 7 standbys, when what he should have done is named a 26-man squad and said, right, you're going to fight for these last 3 positions. And then he could have turned around at any time and said, I'm bringing John Stones, I'm bringing Flanagan, or I'm bringing whoever. He bottled it, basically. He probably did want to bring him, but he thought, I can't because I've already made this decision. It's the same way he bottled it when he played Lallana in every game up to the World Cup and then changed at the last minute because the English press put pressure on him to change it. And that one decision actually probably cost a place in the tournament for England, because what that did was create an environment where there was 4 forwards and no midfield, basically, and that basically seen England out. It unstabilised the whole team.
You can't play without a midfield against Italy for some reason.
You can't play against the midfield against anyone, I would say, Eric, because it's
right. But Italy probably more so than many other sides.
But that shows that shows that as a coach he's not
just some arrogance.
He's not strong enough in his own convictions. Therefore, he's not the right man for the job. So he should go. But he won't go because there's no pressure on him to go by the press, because there's no replacement, which again doesn't make any sense. But
I think I don't know. I was about to say Moyes for England, but that's probably not a very popular choice.
I'd actually go for Gary Neville personally. Yeah. But
probably would be fine. Then you get his brother in there and point at things.
Well, I think that makes more sense, because what that actually does is that brings in a man.
You notice how I didn't say the guy's name, Pet? Are you happy about that? Just said his brother and pointed at things.
Oh, frosty tips. He's a coach who would come in and he wouldn't have the baggage of being at a club team as a manager or a coach, because I think Hodgson brought all that baggage from Liverpool and felt like he had to look after Steven Gerrard and almost like an apology. I had to look after Gerrard and the other players at Liverpool, which I found very, very sad. But but England are rubbish anyway.
Let's mention Barkley real quick. Any positives, negatives?
I thought he done okay. I was going to say, I thought he'd done okay. He didn't set the tournament alight. He only got sort of 20 minutes in the first two games. The last game was an atrocious match, really. He done his best, but he looked inexperienced in the last game, but he didn't have much around him in that midfield. Wasn't the best.
Again,
I think
not much midfield. Yeah, right.
I think the tournament was actually really good for him because what it did was it opened them up to the international game. Obviously, being in a World Cup, being around all that, getting all that experience, which can only be good for Everton because he's going to come into the Everton team now and be one of only a few players who's played at a World Cup. No matter how bad, good, he's got that in his locker. But also he didn't shine, but it's because he didn't get a chance to shine. So there's no baggage on him on that point of view. He's almost he's the guy who went there and never really got a chance. And everyone's been clamouring for him in this country to play. And I think what that does for him now, that opens it up again for almost like we've just been talking about John Stones. That opens it up so it's like he's the guy to go in there now. We lose this player, and this player, and he can go in there and do what he needs to do. Now, whether that's good for Everton, I don't know. But that I don't think that should really make a difference nowadays. But
I just hope he doesn't miss the bus.
No, I thought he did okay. I thought when he came on against Uruguay, he opened the space up for Rooney to do a lot more work. It's just how they fit him into that midfield. He wants to be a number 10. But what you can see when he's got the ball, he wants the ball all the time. He doesn't go hiding. He's not shy. He wants it. He's very much like he was at Everton. So from that point of view, I think it's positive for him. I think having the negative of coming back so early, he'll drive him on as a player. And no one's saying anything bad about him. So when I say it's a good experience for him. So I think from that point of view, that's good.
I think from our perspective, sorry, Eric, I was just going to say, I think from our perspective about Barkley as well, is I'm glad he didn't take the tournament by storm, because imagine if he'd been like the sort of next James Rodriguez, for example, it's been the sort of false expectation placed on the shoulders going into the next season, all the talk about him probably moving to, Chelsea, United, PSG, etc. He's gone in, he's done his tournament, he's got the experience. But he's got basically now another 12 months at Everton to really establish himself in our team. So I think from that perspective, it's worked out really well for Everton.
Yeah, he just did enough. But at the same time, as you say, there's no hype on him. Apart, he'll come back and he'll just fit back at Everton and he'll get on with it and he'll keep learning. And I don't think because the worst thing would have been if he'd gone there and had a brilliant tournament and come back and suddenly become like, I want to do this and I want to do that. Not that I know if that's in his character anyway. But he's still got so much to learn because we're not all stupid. We watched him last season. We know he has flashes of genius and moments of youthful naivety. So we all know he's got so much to learn, but he's with the right man to learn from. So if anything, Hodgson's style is counterproductive. So I think from that point of view, it was a good tournament for him.
Yeah, one additional Everton-owned player, Kevin Morales, plays for Belgium. Didn't get a whole lot of time in the first two matches. Got started in the third, and looked okay. Nothing.
I mean, he looked all right when he came on in the second game. Again, he opened up the space for Hazard to be a little bit more creative. He hits the post. I thought in the third game he looked okay. It's strange that they're not using him as much. I can't quite figure that out because in the qualifiers, yes, he came off the bench and he played some, but he was almost like the first person to come off the bench, and he had good. He's got. You'd think watching Belgium so far, they don't look like a team. They look like a lot of really good individuals that somehow stretch it together because they are good players. Now you'd think the manager would be looking for those connections in the team, and Lukaku and Morales would seem like a natural connection to use during matches and have Hazard on the other side. You think that would be, Hazard's probably worked with Lukaku in training and things at Chelsea, so you think that's a natural fit, and he hasn't used them, so I find that slightly strange.
Yeah, I think where Belgium is falling short is they've got too many players that are really good, and not necessarily enough role players, and not enough people that know what they're good at. it's kind of like the opposite of American side that that we would they think that they can get by on just talent alone. Having four center backs playing in the back is not necessarily helping them out. It's going to be interesting to see the second round matchup against the U.S. and how that works out. Lukaku has done Everton a really big favor in looking like not the world class striker that we hope he will develop into, and possibly Chelsea will go out and buy a James Rodriguez type player in addition to Costa and who looked horrible. But so yeah.
It is interesting. I mean, Pat, I mean, we self and Paddy have had a lot of debate on this because you watch him. You watch him so far in the tournament, and he looks like he's like a lot. I mean, the one that springs to mind from the first game we played for Belgium was West Brom away, when he was really high up the pitch, isolated from everyone else, really just lackluster. Didn't seem to have much energy about him. Didn't really want to get around much. And Pad, it's interesting, isn't it? Because we're seeing all these figures coming out this week. Luke Shaw for 30 million, Lallana 25 million.
Right.
And
yeah. So how much is Lukaku worth then?
Here you've got Lukaku, who's 20, 21. He's going to have a lot of teams still interested in him. And
50?
Are Everton gonna do it? What would you be prepared to pay Pad for him?
I think the potential is definitely there. If we can strike a deal with Chelsea to get something around about between 20 and 25 million, I definitely think it's worth the investment. Yeah, I think you get your money back on him. There's definitely a player there, but what we've seen in the World Cup is what we saw at Everton, really. People tend to forget the sort of 16 goals he scored hides the fact that he went through long spells at Everton, just before Christmas and just after Christmas before he got into the Merseyside derby. Where he didn't do anything in games. He'd be on the pitch, but the running that we saw very early on against West Ham away and in his earlier games against Newcastle was sort of non-existent, and he seems to have taken that into his games with Belgium. But then there's the other part of Lukaku that suddenly comes alive. So, the goal against Hull City at the end of last season, that game he wasn't pulling any trees up, but it just takes one moment, and a player like that who can do that once or twice every 3 games is just an absolute vital commodity. And as we said before early about Barkley and Stones, we've got a manager there that will get the best out of Lukaku. I think he'll develop him, and I think the guy knows himself. He's got an opportunity, I think, if he does come back to Everton on a permanent basis, I think, to iron out them kinks in his game. But he certainly is doing us a favour out in Brazil at the moment, because his value, I think, is probably dropped from around about 30 million. I think Chelsea would have looked for 30, 35 million before the World Cup. I think there'll be few clubs prepared to go above 25 million now.
Yep.
Yeah, because as you just mentioned, Eric, there are players that you look at Rodriguez for Colombia, and these players are showing themselves as being hot properties, and then suddenly
Suarez until he bit someone.
Then Lukaku suddenly just starts dropping down that the ladder, and there aren't that many clubs, and as you just mentioned, Pad, if he thinks to himself seriously, well, who's the manager who's maybe got the best out of me so far? Well, Steve Clark's not in a job, so but Roberto Martinez has probably got the best, and there's obviously that he's mentioned that already. He said that's the best time he's had at football club. That's where he's learned the most. So maybe if he sees a little bit more, if he sees a bit of sense, Everton and Chelsea can come together, and his ego and his agents stay out the way, then maybe it can happen. But it is going to cost a lot of money. But looking forward to that game, Eric. I mean, what are your thoughts? United States versus Belgium. I mean, it's a big ask, but it's certainly not a major stretch for United States to win this game.
I know Tim Howard's going to know a lot about the Belgian side. He's going to be able to impart a lot of wisdom onto the American squad.
He can't score though, can he?
Only if we're playing Bolton, but probably not, unless it goes really deep into penalty shootouts. Then maybe he'll have to have a go. I hope it doesn't go to penalties. But I think the Americans are fit. They're going to have. They definitely have got the heart and the pride, and whenever they put on the shirt, they leave nothing out there. and it's just going to come down to who's the better team. And if Belgium can pull their talents together and play as a squad, then they'll have what it takes to move on. But if they are a bunch of individuals, then I think the Americans can outlast it.
Good stuff. I think the America can get the win anyway. I really do. I think they can get the win. Right, let's get back to things that have happened here. Not much, but some things.
Yeah. We can go through news. Coleman signed a new deal, which is amazing. Much deserved. He was just absolutely fantastic for Everton this past year. Definitely deserved to get a new contract and to keep Arsenal away. So that's fantastic for them. Martinez.
All right, well, let's give us a chance.
Okay.
We would like to discuss these things.
Are you happy about Coleman getting a new contract, Ped?
Well, yes, I am, Eric. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk about it.
What about you, Pat?
On this fine podcast.
I'm absolutely ecstatic about Seamus Coleman signing that new 5-year deal, and I echo your thoughts, Eric. It's well deserved.
It's positive. Well, I mean, it's brilliant. Let's be honest. It's a brilliant deal. We've heard in the last couple of months that Arsenal were sniffing around him. Some Arsenal fans were very, very confident they were going to sign him.
Yeah.
But that's the difference though now, isn't it? That's the difference. We look at Leighton Baines. We look at Seamus Coleman. Hopefully the likes of Ross Barkley will follow, and John Stones will get a contract signed, and James McCarthy, I think there's one on the table for. But that's the difference now, isn't it? You look at a player like Seamus Coleman, he's getting 26, 27. He's signed a 5-year contract. He's not looking to get out, and that in the past has been sort of the mark of where a player starts leaving us. That's the difference now. You all seem to want to stay.
Gosling, it's it's that level. It's we developed them to a certain point. Is Everton at a spot to where we can offer them something moving forward? Do we have the pieces in place to be able to realistically promise them the ability to advance their career and have success at Everton? And getting into the Europa League this year, I think, and being just so close to getting in the Champions League, it's definitely giving Martinez a lot more bullets in the gun to be able to say, we're going places, and Everton is a place where if you stick here and help build this, then we can do great things.
Well, it's always been, hasn't it?
Yeah, sorry.
It's always been one step forward, hasn't it? It's always been, Paddy. I was just going to say to you, Paddy. It's always been, we always seem to get to a point where we look a couple of players off a squad, and then we sell one of them, and next minute we're now two players off a squad, and then you bring a player in, but he takes a while to settle, and then we sell another one. But now it does look like this summer with a few more good signings, we could have a depth for once.
Yeah, it does. I think it certainly helped the manager signing a new contract. I think him putting a pen to paper for 5 years has obviously helped seal the deal with the likes of Coleman and hopefully the likes of McCarthy and Stones as well. As you say, Ped, it always seems to be sort of 2 steps forward, 1 back every summer. We sort of let one player go and then we have to replace them and try and have to build them in. The replacements into the squad, but I think this year there is a major difference. Really, we've got a more positive manager whose ambition, I think, is absolutely unlimited. He can tell the way he talks and what he wants to try and do with the club. He doesn't just want to settle for finishing 5th in the league every year. He wants to take it further and he wants to build something special. And I think that's got through to the squad. I think the other factor that will, weigh heavily in people's decision making as well is players like Fellaini, for example, left last summer, and the career's gone downhill. They've done nothing at Man United. The grass wasn't greener elsewhere. And if you're Seamus Coleman thinking, okay, I've forged a career at Everton, we're in Europe next year, the club looks like it wants to invest and go forward and go even further, or do a switch to Arsenal, a team that, okay, they get in the Champions League every year but don't get past the sort of last 16. section. What happens if it doesn't all work out for me there? They're going to try and offload me after 12 months, similar to what Manchester United are trying to do with Fellaini now. So I
Yeah,
think there's a load.
even throw in Rodwell at City. I mean, 4 years ago, 3 years ago, Rodwell was tipped to be one of the young stars of the English team, and going into Brazil, he moves to City and disappears.
Well, even last summer, he was tipped to go to Brazil because he was in Brazil in the England squad when he should
Yeah.
have been at an under-21s tournament. So,
Yeah.
it shows. But there's only so many places players can go now and really win things, and that's the thing now. So, as Paddy's just said, the grass isn't always green, and if someone look at someone like Seamus Coleman, if someone's plucked you from, obscurity, and built you up and made you the player you are, you do have that sense of loyalty, and if the club are going somewhere, then you might as well stick with them. As Paddy's just mentioned there, Roberto Martinez as well has signed a 5-year contract, which slightly surprising that came out, but I think there's been rumours, this not with any substance, but obviously the likes of Spurs are sniffing around him, and he wasn't interested, but
Right.
he's been Bill Kenwright's come out and obviously, backed him and give him a reward for his first season in the club. But, if you look at the other way, you think to yourself, well, if you're Roberto Martinez, you may have asked for certain things, certain promises, and if he's been given them, then that's fantastic. And hopefully, with a little bit more money swishing around now, thanks to this TV deal, all the players, like you've just mentioned there, Pat, about Seamus Coleman, the players will look at that and say, well, if the manager's reaffirming his loyalty to the club, therefore I'm gonna be loyal to the club. So it's fantastic news that he's signed that 5-year deal and really sort of sends us into this season again on a high.
That, and to get a player like Seamus Coleman, who was brought in by the previous manager, to be able to get him to re-up for 5 years, a year after a new manager comes in, is definitely positive, showing his commitment to the club first and foremost, but also his belief in what the new manager is doing and wanting to do moving forward. So I think that is very good for Seamus Coleman, for Everton, and for everybody involved that he's around for 5 more years. Rumors out there that Gareth Barry is going to sign a 3-year deal, hopefully announced in the next couple of days. Again, I was looking at our fixture list schedule for August and September, and it's just crazy. The Europa League starts in full force. League Cup match, 3rd round is in there as well, and the matches, there's no waiting until kind of the October season for matches to get thick and fast on us. It's right out the gate. So any additional players that we can get into the squad to be able to fill out our side, we're going to need lots of bodies this year. So I think if we can get Barry and a few others, yeah.
I think getting Barry's really important for.
Massive.
I think it's important for Roberto Martinez because he's built his team around those 3 men in midfield. Ross Barkley, James McCarthy, and obviously Gareth Barry. So it's really important that he gets him in and gets it done early. And it looks like it'll be done, this week. It becomes a free agent Tuesday, so hopefully it'll be done then. And he's obviously putting his money where his mouth is for a player like that. And okay, some people won't see it as a big deal because we had him last season, but we all know how important he is. And Pads, I mean, he set the tone, didn't he, when he made that clearance against Samuel Eto'o in the game against Chelsea.
Yeah, he did. I think he was absolutely vital to us last season, especially when you consider Darren Gibson got injured in October as well. I think the plan would have always been probably to rotate them two, but the fact that Barry sort of came in and the only games he missed were either through suspension or being unable to play against his parent club at the time. So I think it's a great sign, and I think he's a great player as well for the squad in terms of his overall experience and what he's achieved in the game as well. When you've got a number of young players coming through and emerging, the likes of Ryan Ledson, Ross Barkley, for example, I think having someone like Gareth Barry in and around the squad for the next 2-3 years will be absolutely fantastic for us.
Another player, very quickly, another player who may be coming back into the club as well would be the Sina Traore, who is
Yep.
being spotted in Merseyside in the last couple of weeks, and there's definitely he has definitely been here, and there is definitely talks ongoing. When I interviewed him, Roberto Martinez said he wanted him back. He said he sees something in him and is prepared to give him another year. Which again, if it's a year loan, I see no issue with it. I really don't. If you get this kid fit, we're going into the Europa League. We're going to need players.
Yeah.
It's strange how many people I talk to and they go, he's rubbish him, and I go, well, yeah, but he only played one game and he hadn't played for 4 months. Yeah, but you could tell in that game he was rubbish. Well, I'm afraid you can't tell in one game whether someone's rubbish. And if Roberto Martinez says he sees something in him, then if we can get him on loan for a year, I'm happy to take him to see what happens.
Yeah, definitely.
I think he's worth the gamble. If the terms are right, it looks clear that Monaco don't see a future for him playing for them. So if we can get him for the year and actually get a few games out of him and hopefully get a pre-season out of Matson, getting him to fit and integrate into the team, he could well be a vital addition to the squad. Because when you think of the amount of games that we're going to have in Europe and the domestic cups as well, I think having that additional player, that additional body in the squad, and hopefully someone a bit different from the way we currently play as well, it's a plan B or a plan C, which you can never ever underestimate. So I think he'd be a decent signing for us. I just hope we actually get a few bodies in before the usual 31st of August, because them starting the games of the season, particularly the two at home, we can't afford to lose any ground like we did last year with our first 3 games where we drew too many matches, which ultimately cost us Champions League football. So hopefully we will do our business early this summer.
Yeah, let's get on with the kit here. The badge has been changed, thank goodness. It's definitely more traditional badge. Neil Satis is back under the crest, and the laurel leaves and wreaths, and the tower looks more normal, and everything, it just seems right with the world. Umbro has put out the home kit, the video that they made. Seriously, I watched it and I almost welled up watching it.
Yeah.
Almost. We've got robot pets, so that's pretty awesome. It's just a really well done campaign so far. The kit with the navy blue socks is amazing. I love it. I think it's really smart. What do you think, Pat?
Yeah, I think it's good to see a more additional badge on the shirt. We've got rid of that sort of Disney monstrosity that we had last season, and I'll be able to go out and buy the kit for myself this year after having a year not being able to buy it due to that badge. I actually quite like the socks as well. The last time we had sort of socks of that colour, we actually won our last trophy, so hopefully it's a good omen for us for the season going ahead. But it looks a tidy kit, and you can't really go far wrong with Umbro unless you talk about the 97-98 kit. But other than that, it's a good kit. Looking forward to it, seeing us playing it next season.
Am I still a robot?
Yeah, you're still a robot. It's got to be your computer, which is nice to have narrowed it down to knowing that it's just on your end there. I saw some mock-ups of an away kit that were a light pink and navy blue that I think personally would be amazing. I would love to see that come through. It was harkens back to like an 1889 kit. I think that we had one of the first original kits that Everton had. To do that as an away kit, I think would be great. What color do you want to see, Pat, for away?
I'm more
tired of yellow. I'm really just tired of yellow.
I don't mind Everton. I like seeing Everton wearing white actually away. A nice sort of white and a sort of blue trim on our away kit. So I'd go for white. Pink's not really for me, unfortunately.
Pink equals points.
It doesn't go with my complexion.
No. One thing that Ped, who's still Robotnik, did get to go to a pre-reveal party. He must be some sort of special person, or maybe he's got something on. Maybe he's got something on Illuminati. Maybe he's got something on one of the members of the board at Everton. Who knows? But he seems to be getting invited to more and more things, and he seems happier, a happier fan. So who knows what's going on with that there? But one thing that made me extremely happy as an American that Ped learned while at the Umbro unveiling, where they took his cell phone and didn't allow any photos to be taken, and I'm pretty sure he got a full cavity search just to make sure that he wasn't smuggling stuff in or out. But the thing that made me the happiest about this was the announcement that Everton merchandise and the kits specifically are going to be on sale at Dick's Sporting Goods in the United States, which if I were to go into a Dick's Sporting Goods right now, I could buy probably a Spurs kit, a Liverpool kit, the Man United, Man City, Chelsea, Arsenal, and there's no Everton kits, and for that to change will be huge. I think the casual fan in the United States are looking for a team a lot of the times that isn't necessarily one of the big name squads. Americans love to find the underdog, find that team that nobody else knows about and nobody else supports, and I think Everton could definitely be set up to fill that role very easily as long as merchandise is available at a fingertip to be able to pull off of a hanger and say, yes, I want to buy this. It's the past where you had to go through Everton Direct and wait 2 weeks to get something. The typical American casual fan is not going to go for that. They're not going to go through the effort and the time it takes to buy something, to wait to get it. So to be able to buy it at retail, touch it, and take it home with you or put it on immediately, I think is a very big step for Everton.
And will my Irish cousins be able to get the Everton kit over in Ireland, in Wexford? Because I know I'm fed up with having to try and get kits for them every summer. I believe there's going to be more international distribution of the kit as well, isn't there, Eric?
Yeah, it's absolutely amazing. It's something that I know I've been calling for. The kit bag deal has definitely kind of pigeonholed Everton's ability to get their kit out in other areas other than at Liverpool One, and it's been frustrating as an American to not be able to walk into a shop and say, hey, that's the club that I support. That I want to buy that right now.
Can I just test this microphone?
Yep, you're good.
Yeah, very very quickly as well. Yeah, I think Umbro have taken a lot more of a lead on this, and as we just mentioned, it's going to be on. I think it's going to be in South America and Ireland, and basically they're going to offer what they do already, sort of, and use their channels. And speaking to the guys from Umbro, they're really excited by this. Everton are their number one thing, basically. That they are all about Everton, and it's nothing's going to be off the hanger, as to say. Everything's going to be bespoke and made for a reason. And
yeah,
the socks are navy because that was the colour of the socks in 1924 when Umbro was first founded. There's always going to be a reason behind something, which is really really encouraging. And it's nice to have that back. It's nice to have that back where you feel like you're in control, and that also with where you're going to be able to buy it as well is going to really help.
Yeah, let's move on to the preseason fixtures that have been announced. We've got an away tie at Tranmere on the 22nd of July, then a match in Thailand against Leicester City on the 27th of July.
I don't know.
And
I think that's our friendship, I think, isn't it, with Chang? I think.
Well, yeah,
it's because they're owned by a Thai owner as well.
Yeah, but to play I know this was arranged prior to the Premier League fixtures to come out, but to play a friendly in Thailand, way far away, not even 2 weeks before the season opens against the team that you open the season against is very strange.
It's It is what it is.
But hey, whatever. And then Leon Osman's testimonial on August 3rd, bringing in FC Porto, should be a really, really entertaining match. I know you guys will have a lot of fun at that.
Oh, we will. We'll have lots of fun.
But just going back to the Tranmere game, though, I'm delighted that that's back in the fixture, sort of pre-season fixture list, because that used to be something, it was a traditional fixture every year that we played Tranmere, and then it got a little bit nasty about sort of 12 years or so ago when a certain ex-Red John Aldridge was in charge, and they used to use it as a bit of an excuse really to try and give our players a kicking. So the game, Everton ended up pulling the fixture and not playing them for the last sort of 12 years or so. So I think it's fantastic that game's back in the calendar early, and hopefully it'll be something that we'll be able to resume moving forward, because it's a nice local game for us to get to.
And not only that, you mentioned there, when we were at our lowest in the Premier League and as they were at their best, there was almost this idea that Tranmere were getting better than Everton, and that's when, again, as you mentioned, there was started getting a bit funny, but now Tranmere are not in a great place, and there used to be a lot of kinship between Everton and Tranmere. Tranmere used to have the games on a Friday, and a lot of Tranmere fans used to be Everton fans, and it's nice that we can go over there, and hopefully, the way Everton have been for friendlies recently, the ground will be full, and that's going to give Tranmere a lot of money that they need to survive. Yep. So from that point of view, I'm delighted as well, because it's sad to see what's happened to that club in the last couple of years. They are really struggling, and they are a local side, and we should really have a bit more of a kinship with them, because it used to be great. It used to have players go and play for, Dave Watson was the manager. You had like Pat Nevin, Paul Rideout, Gary Stevens. We had these players who went and played for them, and we really should have more of our youngsters maybe going over to them. But maybe Roberto Martinez feels the levels a bit low for them. But
we tried, but then they were having some issues, and so we pulled them back. But
let's just say issues. But we had a couple there last year, so that's good. Matty Kennedy and Pennington, so maybe that'll keep going. So well, I'm sure there'll be more pre-season friendlies announced. They're going to Austria, I think, so they'll probably play a game in Austria, and I'm sure there'll be more sort of. There's rumours of a couple of other ones going around, maybe playing big teams in different countries, or so looking forward to see what happens anyway.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us on this preseason summer edition of the Follow-tonians. We'll be back probably in about a month or so, do another tune-up before the season starts to just kind of preview, talk about any other news between now and the start of the season. But thank you for tuning in. Come on, you Yanks, let's go. All right, guys.
Cool. Are you going to do that later, yeah, Eric?
Yeah, I'll do it.
Not
probably.
the video, we're on live.
Yeah, the video's there. I'm stopping it right now.